Alright, hello everyone. My name is Jonas Manninen and today I have the honor of introducing our next speaker for Northern Game Summit 2022, Jonne Ojennus from Critical Force. Hello Jonne, how are you?
Hello, hi Jones, and it's nice to be here.
Yeah.
So I'm fine, and how are you, or how are all the viewers, I suppose, in this case?
I sure hope
fine.
Our viewers are doing okay. I am also pretty good. It's been a lot of work getting Northern Game Summit going, but we are getting there. So,
I'm excited.
I understand you work as a prototyping lead at Critical Force. What does that mean exactly?
Okay, so it was a bit of a new position for me as well on like what exactly it means, but it is pretty much as the title says. So I am leading all the processes and a team that does the prototypes for the company, and that also sort of includes the future view for the company. So essentially trying to match that the prototypes or new projects would fulfill the hopes and wishes of the company as an entity and then as people as well. So.
Alright, so how does that look like from day to day? What is your normal work day?
So how does it work? How does my work day look day to day? Well, it starts with first, of course, talking with my teammates, like finding out what they're working on, what's their status, trying to keep up that everyone has what they need, but it depends a lot on every week and every project on what we're actually going to be doing and what the day consists of. Sometimes it can be stuff where I don't need to be present or do anything about it. I just need to know how it's going. But then there's also a lot of stuff that we work together, so I'm actively also participating in the prototyping. That's my favorite, of course, where I can do stuff with my own hands. But as a rule, I would imagine in any kind of prototyping situation is that you might have a lot of prototypes going on in some span of a year, for example, depending a little bit on what's going on. But if you have a lot of prototypes going on, then your what like the involvement is differs a lot. And then when making stuff with your hands on a proto team, no matter if you're the lead or if you're just a regular member of the prototyping team, we all have to do something new every day almost. So you learn new tools and new stuff from all the disciplines, mainly because at least in our case, the prototyping team is quite small. So you don't have all the roles you would have in a bigger team, nor do you really need them either. So when you need to do something on art side, you do it. When you need something done on animation side, you do it. So within the constraints of usually time rather than anything else, you do anything and everything that's required to get the prototypes going.
Well, that at least doesn't sound like it gets boring. It sounds like there's a whole lot of things to do. So, how was your career path? How did you end up as a prototyping lead?
Okay, so my career path, like I don't mean anything negative when I say it, but it can come as such because I feel that I went through the underbelly of game industry. I'm not the only one. There's plenty of us, so I'm not trying to be cool here. Rather, I'm trying to tell that there is such an underbelly that can be gone through. So there are smaller companies and more humbler beginnings. Like I started with my own company to begin with. That's pretty humble. But then moved on from that to visit Rovio for a little bit, which of course isn't and wasn't a small company, but from there I went through various smaller companies and startups. And while most of the startup life is kind of how should I say it? It's not poor necessarily. but the small studios definitely are, I think, like perpetually struggling.
Yeah.
And going through these sort of smaller environments which require more from like the developer in terms of generalist, that's like pretty suitable for prototyping specifically. So if I was asked to do a really high-end thing on any discipline, like really like the top of the best in the world, it would be quite a job for me. Like it would take more effort from me to do the perfect thing on any one discipline than for a person who's done only that discipline and only worked on that. But then on the other hand, in this environment like prototypes, when you know a little bit of almost anything, then you can do almost anything. And I guess most importantly, you're not afraid of doing anything.
Yeah.
Just like a live world example is that we need to make a trailer, sort of teaser trailer for our pitching materials for Gamescom. And for that, I had like a long dream that we'd make something with the Unreal sequencer. And we had used it a little bit for in-game cutscenes and stuff like that on the prototypes, but nothing so ambitious as like a cinematic style animation or like cutscene stuff. But we have a week to do it. There's like all the possibilities in the world. What can we do in a week? And we started and we're doing it, and it looks like we're gonna be successful.
All right. Yeah, that's great. You mentioned a bunch of different places you worked at. Do you have any sort of favorite projects that you worked on previously?
Okay, so my favorite projects on what I've worked on on previous companies. Well, it's gonna sound kind of dumb, but there's not, something that was totally better than others. Like, first of all, you don't, as a normal employee, you don't kind of get to choose your projects that much. Like, you're happy if you get something cool to work on, but you usually work on whatever.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed, especially the teams that I've been on, I've enjoyed, and the people I've worked with, I've enjoyed a lot. But just to name a few, I think working on Angry Birds Classic with the team, they know who they are. That was like both like a really cool experience and then also probably the biggest game I worked on because of the spread of Angry Birds.
Yeah, I mean it is.
At the time, especially.
It's not a small one anymore.
Yeah, and that was pretty cool from the bigger part. But then on Reforged Studios, which was one of my favorite studios. My favorite studio, of course, is the current one.
Obviously.
but in Reforged Studios, we like once our own project started to go a little bit downhill. We worked a lot with different game companies, so like work for hire and so. Some of those projects were also stuff that I really enjoyed. Like, I think the most obscure or the weirdest one we worked on was Conqueror's Blade. So there's this game coming from China called Conqueror's Blade that used to be called War Rage, and I'm not sure if it's still called that in China. But the name Conqueror's Blade came from Reforged Studios, and the sort of westernization of the assets was also something that we worked on, like showing what they should look like and that kind of stuff. That was actually pretty cool as well.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Now to more Northern Game Summit related questions. Have you been before?
I haven't been to Northern Game Summit.
Well, do you have planned out yet what you're going to be talking about there?
Yeah, so what I'm going to be talking about in Northern Game Summit is the current project that we're working on right now. I can't know if we're going to be working on it when Northern Game Summit is out, because we're a prototyping team, so it could swing anyway. We could be making something new prototypes, or we could be working on that very project. But I have the permission to speak there about the actual project and how did it start, what kind of steps we took on it, and there's no I'm trying to avoid saying anything inappropriate, but there's no bullshit, so to say, in there. So it's the real deal. So the actual project, how we worked on it, how many people worked on it, how long, everything is from the actual world, the real project. Even if it's currently ongoing, we're gonna be able to talk about everything else than, I'd say, money. So we can talk about pretty much everything that the project has been, and what's the inspirations, what we had to do, and how we established what we did, and how far did we get in certain stages of the project.
All right. Well, that sounds interesting. I'm sure the people will be excited to hear what you're working on over there. Is there something particularly, what are you looking forward to most at the Northern Game Summit?
Well, what I'm looking most forward to in Northern Game Summit is meeting people. Like I'm kind of a loner. I work a lot as remote. I don't like to go to events that much, so I take the opportunity when I go there to really get to know people and see them and communicate with them and exchange ideas. I think just getting to exchange ideas and worldviews and finding like all kinds of new stuff to learn is really what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, well, that's what Northern Game Summit is pretty well known for. All right, I have one more question for you. How long does it take to get the mustache looking like that?
To get like so the length of time it takes to get a cool mustache is not that long. A mustache is always cool, so it just gets cooler over time. And to get this type of mustache, I think it is about a year.
That is a perfect and inclusive answer. All right, that's all the questions we have for you today. Thank you, Jonne. Tickets are on sale right now. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Links to the tickets and our social medias can be found down below. I'll see you there.
Come meet me. See ya.